I am shocked that this is happening right here. Now, I spend a lot of time talking about the geopolitics of the world and things that are happening in Sri Lanka or Holland or Canada or China or Europe, like Germany, China, whatever. But it's happening in the United States. There's certain things that the government is taking actions on right now. And in this video, I'm gonna break down what's happening right here, what's happening in other countries, how it's happening right here, what exactly these events are, what they mean for you. Of course, I'm gonna break down things that I've actually started doing for the last 7-8 months in my own life to prepare for this. I'm gonna show you exactly what I'm doing and what you should be doing about these same events right now. So let's go. All right, welcome back, my awakened lions. As we go through this journey together to find what is really going on, dig through the narratives, dig through the noise to find the signal and what we should be doing. Look, this is not about doom and gloom. We talk a lot about problems, but only so we can understand where we are and what we should be doing about it. I learned early on in my investing career, there's no such thing as good and bad timing. There's only good and bad strategies. Now, if you're not paying attention, it could be bad, but that's not you. You are the awakened lions. Let's jump into this. All right, we have warning signs all around us. If we would only pay attention to the warning signs and heed them and take them at their word. That's what I say all the time. I listen to these things, I read these things, and I take them at their word. If they're gonna say it out loud, if they're gonna put it in print, I'm gonna read it and I'm going to take action on that. Here we have something from the National Security. As a matter of fact, let me pull this up. This is from Henry Kissinger. I talk about him quite often on the channel because he's one of the guys behind this whole globalist movement. One of the old guys. He's actually one of the teachers of Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum. Okay, so he wrote this National Security Study Memorandum. This was back in 1974. This is when all this globalism stuff happened. Of course, we got off the gold standard. We started the World Economic Forum, and we got something like this. And we can see that this was declassified in July of 1989. So this was a classified document from 74 until 1989. Now, it's a long document. I'm going to take you through a couple of the key pieces here. It says, the conclusion of this view is that mandatory programs may be needed because people won't voluntarily make these changes, so mandatory programs may be needed, as they say. Should the U.S. set even higher agricultural production goals, should they be nationally or internationally controlled? So what we're talking about today is one of the 3 attack vectors Henry Kissinger told us. Control the food, you control the people. Control the energy, you control the continent. Control the money, you control the world. Today we're going to talk about food. What's happening in other countries, it's happening in the United States. And if you're not preparing for this now, then you should be. And I'm going to show you what I'm doing to actually prepare for this. So stick with me. So again, Henry Kissinger said, control the food, you control the people. In 1974, this was classified. They said, should the U.S. set higher agricultural production goals? And should they be nationally or internationally controlled? Should we have nationalization of the farms? Should we internationally control the food of the whole world? That's the questions they were asking. Would food be considered an instrument of national power? So should we look at food and the production of food, the distribution of food as a power? And of course the answer is yes, they should. Is the U.S. prepared to accept food rationing to help people who can't or won't control their population growth? Whoa, what? This was a classified document from Henry Kissinger. Should they use food rationing to control people who can't or won't? Okay? Look, I know, I get it. This is kind of conspiracy theory stuff. But this is a classified document that was declassified. Okay, Henry Kissinger 1974 report directly targeted overseas food aid as a, quote, instrument of national power, increased private regulation by the large and powerful global corporations. So centralized farming, take all the meat processing. In the United States is done by, 85% of it's done by 4 companies, and you start to get the idea. All right. It's always been the case, though. This is nothing new, all right? So we're going to get into a little history lesson here. I know you love these history lessons. So we've, of course, been dealing with Marxism and communism now for over 100 years. It really goes back to the French Revolution, kind of goes back even farther. But Marxism and communism is, something that was done in the early 1900s in Russia. It's something that was done in China. And as a matter of fact, we talked about this. I recently did a video here. Editor, go ahead and link it up here in the show notes that a global disaster is coming. And I broke down exactly what's happening with the food. And I showed how the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, Mao's China, and how this is all part of communism, Marxism. And I want to show you a different angle today. And this is from the 10 planks of the Conus Manifesto. If you've ever read the Communist Manifesto, this is written in that book. If you haven't read it, you should read it, because when I first read it, I was completely shocked and blown away they had this stuff in print. But there's 10 planks of what communism is. Now, if you read this, you'll notice that the United States has 7 of 10 of these. And so when they say the United States is a capitalist society, really? Because 7 of the 10 communist planks we have in the United States. I'm not going to dig into that. 1, heavy progressive gradual income tax, check. Central bank, check. But anyway, we're not talking about that today. We're talking about food. So, number 7, instruments of production owned by the state. So state controls the means of production. Improvement of the soil, generally in accordance with a common plan. So, control the means of production of agriculture of the soil. That was number 7. Number 8, establishment of industrial armies, especially for agriculture. Oh, again, control the food. That's number 8. Number 9, combination of agriculture with manufacturing. Take all the means of production, food and manufacturing, and just take it all over. So 3 of the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto deal with food, and we're doing that in the United States. Now, just a quick shameless plug. If you haven't read that book, don't worry, I got your back. I just recently released this book on Amazon. It's called The Communist Manifesto. It's been on Amazon for a couple of weeks. If you haven't picked up a copy, I would love it if you did. Just go to Amazon, search the Communist Manifesto. We've priced it super cheap, just trying to get it out there. I would love it if you'd read it, and more importantly, tell me, leave me a comment, and then even better would be leave me a review on Amazon. All right, now what I want to do is I want to take you back to the future, because you love these historical lessons. I want to show you a story of the United States, what's happened not that long ago in regards to this exact topic. So let's go ahead and go back to the future. All right, we're back. We're fresh out of the time machine, and we've landed all the way back to the early 1800s in the United States. All right, if you know a little bit of your history, then you know Lewis and Clark were some of the early settlers or early explorers that explored from the East Coast to the West Coast. They had to make that treacherous climb across the United States, through the mountains, through the plains, dealing with Indians and whatnot. In 1806, they came through. As a matter of fact, when Lewis and Clark came through in 1806, they wrote in their famous journal, famous expedition reached the Great Plains in 1806. The crew couldn't believe their eyes. They couldn't believe what they saw. Gigantic herds of buffalo, so large they waylaid the travelers for hours on end. Waylaid, what does that mean? The travelers had to wait for hours on end as they went by. Imagine like you're at a railroad crossing and you get this massive train. You have to sit there for like an hour as the train goes by. That's what they're talking about. Hours on end, not 1 hour, hours. So the buffalo were so large, so numerous, that when they came across, they actually darkened the plain. All right, however, what happened after that? Well, then as the settlers wanted to come across, they had a problem. All right, now first of all, let me just, quick disclaimer here. I'm not one of these people that say we should return the United States back to the Indians. Since the beginning of time, tribe has fought other tribe to take their resources. Since the earliest man on earth, it's been a story of one man coming and taking another man's goods. So one Indian took it from another Indian, who took it from another Indian, took it from another Indian, took it from another Indian. The whole world has been like that. One country, I mean, just read the Bible. It's just a story of takeover after takeover after takeover. It's been going on for thousands of years. Now, at which point, how far do we go back to find out who owns it? And I'm not for aggression. We shouldn't be trying to go take over lands, but history is history, and it is what it is. All right, so at the time, this is the key piece. So their settlers were coming in, and they wanted to control the Indians. All right, now this is not a piece of U.S. history that anyone should be proud of, but the buffalo were a critical part of that plan. Why were the buffalo so critical of the settlers trying to take over the Indians? The plan was to force Native Americans onto reservations, into camps, if you will, reservations, and seize their land and protect the settlers who moved there. So hey, we got to get rid of these Indians. Let's round them up. Let's put them into camps. That way we can have settlers come in and the Indians won't bother them. And that's what they did. All right. The problem was with the Indians is that the buffalo gave the Indians independence. The government didn't want independence. The government needed the Indians to be dependent on them so they could have their way with them. So the buffalo were a critical part of those traditions. Plains Indians relied on bison for food and housing. Now check this out. Somewhere between 30 to 60 million buffalo are thought to have roamed the plains. Quote, the government realized that as long as this food source and key cultural element was there, as long as the food was there for the Indians, they would have difficulty getting Indians onto reservations. So as long as the Indians could take care of themselves, as long as they could go to the plains, get their own food, they would have a very hard time getting them onto reservations where they'd have to be dependent on the state. Okay, this has been going on for thousands of years, all right? Hope you understand that. Sherman said, so Sherman was brought in to get the Native Indians together. He said, as long as the buffalo roamed, Native Americans would follow them. I think it would be wise to invite all the sportsmen of England and America this fall for a grand buffalo hunt. The U.S. Army threw its support and protection behind civilian hunters who headed west to slaughter buffalo. I'm an animal lover. I love animals. I like to eat animals too, but I really love animals, so this part kind of makes me a little bit sad. Warning. By 1873, so 73, or not even, a little over 60, anyway, about 70 years after Lewis and Clark witnessed 60 million buffalo darkening the plains, that many. By 1873, buffalo were nearly extinct. Wow. The air was foul with sickening stench, and the vast plain was a dead, solitary, putrid desert. You see, when animals roam the plain, they poop all over it, they fertilize, the grass grows, the plains grow, the animals, everything works in equilibrium. Nature's in harmony. It turned into a putrid desert. By the early 20th century, only 325 buffalo remained in the entire country. Over 70 years, they went from 30 to 60 million to 300. By the time Sherman retired in 1884, he had succeeded in forcing Plains Indians onto reservations. The Indians couldn't feed themselves anymore. They had no way. They took away all their ability to feed, and the Indians had no way except to go on the reservation. Historian David Smith writes, with the mainstay of their diet gone, the buffalo, the Indians had no choice but to accept and serve a fate on a reservation where they could subsist on government handouts. Control the food, you control the people. That's a historical lesson. Now, real quick before we move on, let's just put this into context here. That's a pile of buffalo skulls. That's what they did. Now, why did they do that? Not because the buffalo were a problem, because they needed to take away the independence of the Indians. Look, this isn't a doom and gloom, but you have to understand history if you want to understand the future. All right, what's the current situation? What am I talking about? Well, of course, Kissinger told us, control the food, you control the people. So what's under attack? It's the food. Again, I broke it down in this video right here. We linked it before. We'll put it in the show notes down below as well. We'll put it on the end screen of this video. So at the end of the video, you can just click on it and watch that if you want. All right, so in this video, I broke down how the same thing's happening in Sri Lanka. They said, hey, you can't grow food this way anymore. You have to change the way you grow food. Well, then the farmers couldn't grow food, so the farmers quit. Then they had no crops. Their tea yield and their other crops went down by 50%. Then they had no money, right? And the whole country collapsed. Same thing happened in Holland. You've seen the farmers in the streets protesting. You can't grow this many animals. You can't grow this much food. Same in Canada. Same in New Zealand. It's happening all over. Like I said, I made that video. You can go watch it. Sri Lanka faces a man-made, it says, a man-made food crisis. All right? Why? Why do they want to do this? As a matter of fact, I'm not going to break all these down. Like I said, go watch that other video if you want. Trudeau spars with farmers on climate plan risking grain output. So again, they're attacking food. At the end of this video, we'll link to this video if you want to go watch the whole thing. All right, so we've covered history, we've covered the rest of the world, but what about the United States? What about the land of the free? What about the land of the free? All right, in the United States, this is what I can't believe is happening right here, right now. And this is something that you need to be aware of, okay? This is gonna affect you. An Amish farm was raided. Now the Amish, it's a religion. They're up in the upper Northeast, Pennsylvania area. They live on the land. They stay away from civilization, like no electronics, no modern technologies. They still plow the land by hand. Everything's grown naturally. They believe that's the best way to do it. I actually kind of believe that's probably the best way to do it too. And they do. The problem is the government doesn't like that. Why? Well, the Amish don't need the government. As a matter of fact, the Amish don't care about gasoline prices or electricity prices because they use neither. They plow the land by hand. They don't need gas for their tractors. They don't use cars. They get around in oxen and carts. They don't need the government for anything. For subsidies, they don't need it for gas, they don't need it for electricity, they don't need it for anything. And the government doesn't like that. So Miller's Organic Farm, located in an Amish village out in Pennsylvania, has been around for 30 years. So the farm's been there for 30 years, just minding their own business. They never leave the farm. They don't bother anybody. This farm supplies everything from grass-fed beef, yummy, I love grass-fed beef, and cheese, to raw milk and organic eggs, to dairy from grass-fed water buffalo and all types of produce. So they grow all kinds of produce, they make all kinds of meat. 4,000 people, 4,000 private food club members go there paying top dollar for this great food, right? Go there, we know where the food is, we see the cow growing, we see the cow roaming, we see the cow in the sunshine eating the grass. I buy that cow, people pay top dollar for that. 4,000 club members. Club members appreciate their freedom to get food from an independent farmer that isn't processing his meat and dairy at the U.S. Department of Agriculture. I would appreciate that too. I like to see my cow, I like to see what it's doing, and I like to have that. They appreciate that. They appreciate the freedom of being able to do that without having to go through the USDA facility, which mandates that food be prepared in ways that Miller's Organic Farm believes makes it less nutritious. So I also would agree, I don't want my cows eating GMO grain. I also agree that I want my food to be free range, organic, etc. They believe that the USDA way makes it less nutritious. They want to eat it off the land. They should have the right to do that. But the government doesn't agree. The government sent armed federal agents to the farm and demanded they cease operation. Shut it down. It's also looking to issue more than $300,000 in fines that will put the farm out of business. The farm can't afford $300,000 in fine, so the government doesn't really have a legal way to shut them down, so they'll just slap a bunch of fines on them and just shut them down that way. All right, now look, hopefully with the lens of history, plus seeing Sri Lanka and Holland and Canada, you're starting to get to see a picture. Now, you have to understand the attack is coming from every angle. Bill Gates is apparently donated $13 million to two publications, The Atlantic and The Guardian. He gave them $13 million. For what? Oh, in exchange for running his information. In turn, they are churning out articles just like this one. The most damaging farm products and organic pasture-fed beef and lamb. So the most damaging farm products are organic, grass-fed cows, beef, lamb. That's damaging. Natural. How dare those people allow a cow to roam around and eat grass? How dare they? It's so damaging. Paid for what we call by active journalism. That is what is under attack right now. All right, now, sorry for the doom and gloom. What are we doing about it? What are we doing about it? Okay, what to do? First, you want to get close to the food, all right? Now, pretty much every town has a farmer's market. Go to the farmer's market. Meet the farmers. Know where your food comes from. Make relationships with them. That way when the attack comes, there's support there. 2, you can grow and you can grow it on your own, or you can partner with other people. Now you might know my story. These are my sheep. These are my sheep. I own these sheep. They're on my land eating my grass. Look how cute. There's a mama with 2 babies. You know my story. About 8-9 months ago, I bought myself a little piece of land. I got goats, I got cows, I got sheep, and I'm doing it on my own. Now, not everybody can, although even I've come up with a way that you can get a ranch with no money out of your pocket. And I'm going to show you how you can get that information in a minute. But I've started to do that. Now, that's okay. If you don't have money, maybe you can partner with somebody. So one of my buddies here has a bunch of land. And he had a guy approach him and said, hey, if you'll let me use this little section of your land, I'll raise all this produce and all this food, and I'm willing to share it with you back, right? So you can go to somebody, you can partner with it, you can either grow it, you can partner with it. Like I said, I bought a ranch. It doesn't take as much money. Maybe it doesn't even take any money. I made 2 videos here. We'll go ahead and link these up here, how to prepare now with the ranch and financial sovereignty on the ranch. We'll link them right here, and we'll put them in the show notes at the end as well if you want to check that out. But I bought a ranch, but like I said, you don't have to. You could partner with someone who has a ranch. There's ways to get a ranch with no money down. I found a way to ranch to actually make me a lot of money. It was a great investment, and you can too without money. And it's been a big process for me for 8 months. Like I remember I have a guy running my ranch hand, and he went to auction to get goats, and he's like, well, what kind of goats do you want me to get? And I'm like, what kind of goats? I thought there was just goats. I didn't even know there was kind of goats, right? So I've had this crazy learning experience from how to secure my energy, how to secure my water, what kind of animals I want to get, how I figured out how to turn this into a cash generator, how you could do it with no money down, all of that. If you'd like, I've been putting out just tips in my email, and I'm sending out pictures and stuff. If you want to know, there's a link down below. You can just join my newsletter. It's free. And I just send out updates. Hey, here's what I did. Hey, here's what I learned. Here's pictures of what I'm doing. And just kind of encourage you, connect people that are like-minded. It's just free. If you want to join the newsletter, you can check it out down in the description below. But either way, understand that this attack is coming. Henry Kissinger put it in classified documents. It's been unclassified. We saw it. We see it happening in other countries all around the world, and it's happening in the United States right now with Miller's Organic Farm, and you need to be prepared. I don't want to eat the bugs. I want to continue to eat meat, but I don't know. Maybe you'll like the bugs. What do you think? Leave me a comment and let me know. Maybe you want to eat them, yes or no. Of course, as always, give me a thumbs up on this video if you like it. If you don't, you can give me a thumbs down. That's okay, but at least leave me a comment and tell me why. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so the algorithm doesn't keep censoring me, all right? Now, before you leave, don't forget to go check out these other videos that I have on this same topic so you can stay up to date.